Behind the walls of the Vatican lies one of the most mysterious collections of documents in the world, the Vatican's secret archives. For centuries, it has been a place of fascination and suspicion, a labyrinth of knowledge hidden from ordinary eyes. It stretches for more than 50 miles of shelves, containing hundreds of thousands of volumes, manuscripts, and letters, some of them so ancient they reach back over 1,000 years. Access is strictly controlled. Only a handful of carefully approved scholars may enter, and even they are limited. They cannot simply explore. They must request specific documents in advance, meaning that unless one already knows exactly what is inside, most of the secrets will never be revealed. Officially, the archives are filled with state papers, papal letters, and church records. But many believe that behind those locked doors are documents so powerful that they could shake the foundations of religion and history itself. Among the confirmed items are letters from Michelangelo, petitions from kings and emperors, and the original records of Galileo's trial. But rumors tell of much more: suppressed gospels, heretical writings, and records of events deliberately erased from history. Some claim the archives contain maps of lands long forgotten, evidence of advanced knowledge hidden from the world, or even proof of contact with beings beyond Earth. Over the centuries, whispers have grown louder. Why does the Vatican guard these shelves so carefully? What could possibly be so dangerous, so controversial, that it must never reach the outside world? Is it knowledge that would undermine the authority of the Church? Secrets that could reveal an entirely different version of human history? Or something even more unimaginable? The truth remains locked away, sealed behind stone walls and guarded by silence. What lies within the Vatican's secret archives may never be known to the world, and perhaps that is exactly what those in power intend.
The Bible, as we know it today, is a carefully chosen collection of books. Yet, in the early centuries of Christianity, there were dozens of Gospels, letters, and writings circulating among believers. Many of them told stories that were never included in the official scriptures. These missing works are known as the lost books of the Bible. The question is, where did they go? And why were they removed? Some of these lost texts include the Gospel of Thomas, a collection of sayings attributed to Jesus that suggest hidden knowledge reserved only for the wise. The Gospel of Mary, attributed to Mary Magdalene, offers a powerful role for her in the early church, something the later church sought to downplay. The Gospel of Judas paints Judas Iscariot not as a traitor, but as the one chosen to fulfill a divine plan. Each of these books presents a different vision of faith, one that challenges the version of Christianity we were taught. Scholars know these texts once existed. Fragments have been found buried in the sands of Egypt, preserved in collections like the Nag Hammadi Library. But the Church has long resisted acknowledging them as legitimate. Why? Because if these writings were widely accepted, they could shatter the foundations of official doctrine. And so many believe that the most complete versions of these texts are not lost at all, but hidden, kept deep inside the Vatican's secret vaults. If revealed, they could redefine Jesus' teachings, the role of women in the Church, and even the meaning of salvation itself. For centuries, whispers have claimed that the Vatican deliberately suppressed these books to preserve its power. By controlling the narrative of Scripture, the Church controlled the faith of billions. The lost Gospels are more than just words on ancient parchment. They are an alternate vision of Christianity that the world was never meant to see. Perhaps one day the Vatican will open its vaults and reveal the truth. But until then, the question lingers, what if the Bible we know today is only half the story?
Beneath the grandeur of St. Peter's Basilica lies a hidden world, one that few ever see. Far below the marble floors and golden altars stretch catacombs, tunnels, and chambers that tell a story far older than the Vatican itself. These underground passages are said to run for miles, connecting crypts, secret rooms, and forgotten temples. Some were originally Roman burial sites, dating back to the first centuries after Christ. Others are believed to be remnants of even older structures, swallowed by the city as it grew. Among the most famous discoveries is the necropolis directly beneath the basilica. Here, archaeologists found what many believe to be the tomb of St. Peter himself. But beyond what has been revealed to the public, legends persist of deeper levels, areas never shown to outsiders, chambers filled with relics and artifacts that could change history. Whispers claim that hidden below are altars to ancient gods, remnants of pagan Rome preserved under the very heart of Christianity. Some suggest there are tunnels that connect the Vatican to Castel Sant'Angelo, built to provide popes with an escape route in times of danger. Others speak of locked doors leading to sealed chambers where forbidden relics and even human remains rest in silence. The deeper one goes, the stranger the stories become. Tales of restricted areas where only the highest church officials are allowed. Rumors of guarded vaults holding evidence of lost civilizations, and darker accounts of rituals and ceremonies performed in chambers the public will never know about. Beneath the Vatican lies more than stone and history. It is a hidden underworld, a place where secrets are buried, sometimes literally, beneath the foundations of faith. What truly rests in those tunnels may remain forever concealed, hidden away from the light of day.
In 1917, in a small village in Portugal, 3 children claimed to have visions of the Virgin Mary. These apparitions became known as the Miracle of Fatima. During these encounters, the children said Mary revealed 3 secrets, visions and prophecies meant for the world. 2 of them were eventually made public, but the third remained hidden for decades, locked away in the Vatican. The first secret was a vision of hell, terrifying and vivid. The second predicted the end of World War I and the coming of World War II, as well as the rise of Soviet communism. Both of these came true in chilling detail. But the third secret was deemed too dangerous, too shocking to reveal immediately. For years, only the highest levels of the Church knew what it contained. Popes read it in private. Some were said to be shaken by what they saw. One account claimed Pope John XXIII refused to release it, saying, "This is not for our time." Another said Pope John Paul I read it shortly before his mysterious death. Finally, in the year 2000, the Vatican revealed what it claimed was the third secret, a vision of a bishop dressed in white being killed, widely interpreted as the attempted assassination of Pope John Paul II in 1981. But many scholars, believers, and even priests doubt this explanation. Why would the Church keep a prophecy hidden for so long if it was simply a symbolic vision of an attack? Why would popes tremble at something so vague? Some believe the real third secret predicts an apocalyptic event, the fall of the Vatican, the corruption of the Church from within, or even the end of the world itself. To this day, rumors persist that the Vatican has not revealed the full truth, that a part of the prophecy remains sealed, hidden away from the faithful. And if that is true, then one question remains. What is so devastating about the third secret of Fatima that the Vatican believes humanity cannot bear to know?
Throughout history, the Church has claimed to safeguard holy relics, objects said to be touched by the divine, fragments of miracles preserved in time, and nowhere are these treasures more jealously guarded than within the Vatican. Among the most famous is the Spear of Destiny, the lance said to have pierced the side of Christ during the crucifixion. Legends claim that whoever possesses it holds the power to control the fate of empires. Throughout history, emperors, conquerors, and dictators have sought it. Some believe the Vatican still keeps the true spear hidden deep within its vaults. Then there are the fragments of the true cross, pieces of wood said to be from the very cross upon which Jesus was crucified. Countless churches claim to hold a fragment, but whispers suggest that the Vatican possesses the largest and most authentic pieces, locked away from public view. The Holy Shroud of Turin, though displayed at times, is also closely guarded by the Church. Some claim it is the burial cloth of Christ, while others call it a forgery. The Vatican controls access to it, deciding when and how it is seen, and perhaps what tests may ever be done on it. Beyond these, there are rumors of stranger relics, chalices used at the Last Supper, bones of saints who performed miracles, and even relics that connect Christianity to far older traditions. Artifacts that could suggest the faith itself has deeper, more ancient roots than the Church admits. Why guard these relics so closely? Faithful explanations say they are preserved for reverence and protection, but others believe the Vatican understands their true power, that these objects, whether symbolic or supernatural, could shift the balance of faith, politics, and history if placed in the wrong hands. In the heart of the Vatican, relics of unimaginable significance may rest unseen, and if even one of them were revealed tomorrow, it could alter the world forever.
For centuries, the Catholic Church has performed one of its most chilling rites, the exorcism. A ritual meant to cast out demons, it is both feared and shrouded in secrecy. At the heart of this practice lies the Vatican, which not only trains exorcists, but also keeps detailed records of possessions, rituals, and outcomes, files rarely seen by the public. Officially, the Vatican acknowledges the existence of demonic possession. It even has an appointed chief exorcist, a priest tasked with overseeing these terrifying encounters. But what most people don't know is that behind closed doors, the Vatican's archives contain thousands of case files documenting these battles with the unseen. Some speak of ordinary people tormented by voices and violent fits. Others describe phenomena that defy explanation, levitation, speaking in languages never learned, and unnatural strength. The ritual itself is performed in secret, far from the public eye. The words of ancient prayers, the sprinkling of holy water, the pressing of crucifixes, these are the weapons the Church wields against the darkness. But the Vatican does not reveal how often these rituals fail or how many end with outcomes too disturbing to disclose. There are whispers of exorcisms performed not only on individuals, but on entire houses, towns, and even places of worship. Some priests claim that certain locations in Rome itself have been exorcised repeatedly over the centuries, as if something dark continually returns. What makes this secrecy even more unsettling is the suggestion that the Vatican holds knowledge about the demonic far beyond what it teaches the faithful. Some claim hidden manuals exist, texts so dangerous they are never allowed outside the Vatican's walls. Others believe the Church knows the true names of entities that plague humanity, names that, if spoken aloud, could summon forces better left untouched. The Vatican insists that exorcism is a sacred duty, a battle of good versus evil.
But the silence surrounding the ritual raises a haunting possibility. What if the Church knows that these forces are stronger, older, and more real than most dare to believe?
High above the mountains of Arizona stands one of the most advanced observatories in the world. It belongs not to a university, not to NASA, but to the Vatican. For decades, the Church has quietly studied the stars, scanning the heavens with powerful telescopes. And this raises a question many find unsettling. Why is the Vatican so deeply interested in space? The official explanation is simple. The Church seeks to understand God's creation, but whispers suggest a different reason, that the Vatican already knows we are not alone. Some claim the Vatican Observatory holds secret records of unexplained phenomena, sightings of strange objects in the sky, recorded centuries before modern UFO reports. Others believe ancient manuscripts locked in the archives contain references to beings who came from the stars, beings the Church may have reinterpreted as angels or demons. In recent years, Vatican astronomers have made statements that only fuel the speculation. One priest openly declared that if intelligent life exists elsewhere in the universe, it too would be part of God's creation, and even suggested that aliens could be baptized. Why would the Vatican prepare such a theological stance unless they were expecting such a discovery? There are also rumors that the Vatican has been quietly briefed by governments on extraterrestrial encounters, and that its leaders have knowledge of events hidden from the public. Some even suggest that the third secret of Fatima, never fully revealed, contained visions not of earthly wars, but of beings from beyond our world. Whether these claims are myth or truth, the fact remains the Vatican is one of the few religious powers in Earth investing heavily in the search for life beyond our planet. And if one day contact is made, the Church may already be prepared with answers it has kept hidden for centuries.
Behind the holy image of the Vatican lies an institution that has been plagued by shadows of corruption and conspiracy, the Vatican Bank, officially known as the Institute for the Works of Religion. Created to manage the Church's funds and charitable works, it has instead become infamous for secrecy, hidden accounts, and financial scandals that reach into the highest levels of power. For decades, the Vatican Bank has operated outside the rules of most financial institutions. Shielded by the sovereignty of Vatican City, it answers to no government, no outside authority. This freedom has allowed it to quietly move money across borders, manage billions in assets, and conceal the identities of its clients. But where there is secrecy, there is danger. In the 1970s and 80s, investigations revealed ties between the Vatican Bank, the Italian Mafia, and even political assassinations. The mysterious collapse of Banco Ambrosiano, one of Italy's largest banks, left behind billions of dollars in debt. Its chairman, Roberto Calvi, was found hanging beneath London's Blackfriars Bridge in what many believe was a ritual killing. He was known as God's banker, and his connections to the Vatican were undeniable. Even popes were drawn into the scandal. Pope John Paul I, who reportedly planned sweeping reforms of the Vatican Bank, died suddenly after just 33 days in office. His death remains one of the great Vatican mysteries, and some believe he was silenced before he could reveal the truth. In more recent years, the Vatican Bank has faced accusations of money laundering, hidden accounts for dictators, and billions flowing in secret through its vaults. Each time, the Church promises reform, yet the scandals return as if corruption is woven into its very structure.
The Vatican claims the bank exists to serve the faithful, to fund missions, and to preserve the Church's independence. But its shadowy history tells another story, a story of power, greed, and blood money flowing behind closed doors. The question remains, if the Vatican's finances were fully revealed, what dark secrets of politics, crime, and hidden influence would come to light?
World War II was one of the darkest chapters in human history, and the Vatican stood at the very center of it. Officially, the Church maintained neutrality, presenting itself as a spiritual voice above politics. But history suggests the reality was far more complicated and far more troubling. During the rise of Adolf Hitler, the Vatican signed a concordat with Nazi Germany in 1933. This agreement was meant to protect the rights of Catholics, but critics say it gave legitimacy to the Nazi regime at a crucial moment. While countless priests and nuns resisted, hiding Jews and opposing fascism, the Vatican's leadership remained largely silent as the Holocaust unfolded. Even more disturbing are the claims of what happened after the war. When the Third Reich fell, many high-ranking Nazis escaped justice. How? Through what became known as the rat lines, clandestine escape routes through Europe and into South America. Investigators later uncovered evidence that church officials, including some within the Vatican, played a role in helping these men flee. Among those said to have benefited were infamous war criminals like Adolf Eichmann and Josef Mengele. Why would the Vatican assist such men? Some argue it was a desperate attempt to protect Europe from communism, believing former Nazis could be useful in the fight against the Soviet Union. Others suggest corruption, bribery, and shared ideology may have played a role. There are also whispers of financial connections. Reports surfaced of Nazi gold, much of it stolen from occupied nations and from victims of the Holocaust, being funneled through the Vatican Bank. Though denied by the Church, these allegations refuse to fade. The Vatican has never fully answered for its wartime actions. Official documents remain sealed, witnesses long gone. Yet the shadows remain. Did the Vatican protect evil men for political gain? Did it profit from their crimes? And if so, what does that say about the world's most powerful religious institution?
The papacy is one of the most protected positions in the world, yet throughout history, popes have been the targets of conspiracies, betrayals, and assassination attempts. Some of these stories are well known, while others remain buried in mystery. One of the most shocking took place on May 13, 1981. As Pope John Paul II greeted the faithful in St. Peter's Square, a Turkish gunman named Mehmet Ali Agca fired 4 shots at close range. The Pope was gravely wounded, but survived. To this day, theories swirl around who ordered the attack. Some believe it was the Soviet Union, fearing John Paul's influence in Poland and Eastern Europe. Others suggest secret societies or even factions within the Vatican itself sought to silence him. The truth has never been fully revealed. But this was not the first time a pope was marked for death. In the Middle Ages, rival factions often used poison to remove popes they opposed. Records exist of pontiffs dying suddenly under suspicious circumstances, sometimes after angering powerful families or attempting reform. Pope Clement II in the 11th century is believed by some historians to have been poisoned. Pope John Paul I, who died after only 33 days in office in 1978, is suspected by many to have been assassinated because of the reforms he planned for the Vatican Bank. Beyond these cases, whispers speak of plots uncovered before they could be carried out, poisons intercepted, conspirators arrested, and even would-be assassins who vanished without trial. How many times was the papacy saved in secret, its dangers hidden from public view. The Pope may be seen as a holy figure, but in reality, he sits at the center of politics, money, and power. And where there is power, there are enemies. The Vatican tells us that the Pope is protected by divine providence, but history suggests something darker, that the Vatican has always been a battlefield, and the Pope himself one of the most dangerous positions in the world.
Founded in 1540 by Ignatius of Loyola, the Society of Jesus, better known as the Jesuits, was created to defend and spread the Catholic faith during a time of crisis. But from the very beginning, the Jesuits were more than just priests. They became scholars, diplomats, missionaries, and, in the eyes of many, the secret soldiers of the Vatican. The Jesuits were highly disciplined, loyal directly to the Pope, and trained not only in theology, but in languages, science, and strategy. Their influence spread across the world, into schools, universities, courts, and governments. They became confessors to kings, advisors to rulers, and missionaries in distant lands. To their supporters, they were the intellectual backbone of the Church. To their enemies, they were shadowy manipulators working behind the scenes. Rumors and accusations followed the Jesuits wherever they went. They were accused of infiltrating governments, of orchestrating revolutions, and of controlling education to shape entire generations. Their secrecy and loyalty gave rise to conspiracy theories that they were not only servants of the Vatican, but the true power behind it. So powerful did they become that in 1773, under immense pressure from European monarchs, Pope Clement XIV actually suppressed the order, disbanding it for nearly 40 years. But the Jesuits survived, continuing their work underground until they were restored. Their resilience only fueled the belief that they were untouchable, a brotherhood that answered to no one but themselves. Today, the Jesuits still wield immense influence in education, science, and theology. And for the first time in history, a Jesuit himself has risen to the highest office, Pope Francis. For some, this is a sign of reform. For others, it is proof that the Jesuit order has finally taken the papacy itself. Are the Jesuits simply scholars and missionaries devoted to God? Or are they, as critics whisper, the secret soldiers of the Vatican, an invisible army that has shaped the world for centuries in ways we may never fully understand?
The Vatican presents itself as the center of Christianity, the seat of the Pope, and the guardian of the faith. Yet, if you walk through its halls, plazas, and chapels, you will find something strange, symbols and monuments that don't seem Christian at all. At the very heart of St. Peter's Square stands a massive Egyptian obelisk, an ancient pagan monument brought from Heliopolis. Once dedicated to the sun god Ra, it now towers in front of the basilica as though silently watching over the Vatican. Why would the Church, which once fought to destroy paganism, place such a relic at its very center? Inside the Vatican's art and architecture, the story continues. Sun wheels, zodiac signs, and depictions of gods like Hermes and Apollo appear alongside Christian saints and angels. Even the layout of St. Peter's Square with its circular colonnades has been compared to ancient solar temples. Some suggest these designs were deliberate, merging Christian faith with older traditions of sun worship. But critics claim this is evidence of a hidden continuity, that beneath Christianity lies a secret current of pagan knowledge preserved and repurposed by the Vatican. But what if these symbols were not just decorative? Some researchers believe the Vatican deliberately preserves pagan knowledge, perhaps even ancient rituals hidden beneath Christian imagery. Could the Church be guarding secrets that connect Christianity to the mysteries of Egypt, Babylon, and Rome itself?
The Vatican insists these are relics of history, nothing more. But as you look around St. Peter's Basilica, the Sistine Chapel, or the Vatican Gardens, the question lingers. Why does the world's most Christian city look so very pagan?
Throughout history, the Catholic Church has been the guardian of prophecy. From biblical revelations to visions of saints, the Vatican has collected and preserved countless predictions about the fate of humanity. But not all of them are made public. Some remain hidden, sealed away in vaults, their contents known only to a few. One of the most famous is the third secret of Fatima. In 1917, 3 children in Portugal reported visions of the Virgin Mary, who revealed 3 secrets. The first 2 were eventually made public, predictions of war and the spread of communism. But the third secret was withheld by the Vatican for decades. When it was finally released in 2000, it spoke of a vision of a bishop dressed in white being killed among ruins. Many believe this was the assassination attempt on Pope John Paul II, but skeptics argue the Vatican may have altered or hidden the true message, possibly a warning of global catastrophe or the fall of the Church itself. There are also the Prophecies of Saint Malachy, a 12th century Irish bishop who supposedly predicted every pope until the end of time. According to the prophecy, Pope Francis may be the final pope, described as the shepherd during great tribulations, after which the city of Rome will be destroyed. The Vatican dismisses these as forgeries, but believers claim the accuracy of past predictions is uncanny. Other visions, such as those of mystics like Padre Pio, Anna Katharina Emmerich, and Nostradamus, have also been linked to Vatican secrecy. Stories circulate of letters, visions, and warnings locked away in the apostolic archives, never revealed to the faithful. Why keep prophecy hidden? Perhaps to prevent panic, perhaps because the truth is too dangerous, or perhaps because these predictions reveal something the Vatican doesn't want the world to know about the Church, about humanity, and about the future itself. The Vatican claims to hold the keys to heaven, but could it also hold the keys to our destiny?
The Vatican has always positioned itself as the guardian of humanity's spiritual truth. But what if it also holds secrets about life beyond our world? On a remote mountaintop in Arizona sits one of the most advanced observatories in the world, the Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope. The Church has invested heavily in astronomy for centuries, studying the skies while preaching about heaven. Why does the Vatican need its own telescope? And what exactly are they looking for? Some believe the answer lies in the possibility of extraterrestrial life. High-ranking Vatican officials have made surprising statements. In 2008, Father José Gabriel Funes, the director of the Vatican Observatory, declared that the existence of aliens would not contradict the faith, that extraterrestrials could be seen as our brothers. Why would the Vatican, an institution once hostile to science, be preparing for such revelations? Could they already know something the rest of the world does not? Legends tell of documents hidden in the apostolic archives, describing strange encounters in history, reports of heavenly beings, glowing objects in the sky, and visitors not of this earth. Some researchers suggest these records describe what we now call UFOs. The Vatican's involvement with global discussions about unidentified aerial phenomena only deepens the mystery. Even more curious is the Vatican's rumored connection to the search for life beyond Earth. Whispers claim they are preparing theological frameworks for disclosure, ready to integrate the discovery of aliens into Christianity. But why prepare unless they expect such a revelation soon? Is the Vatican merely studying the stars as part of God's creation? Or has it, for centuries, known the shocking truth that humanity is not alone,
and that our future may be shaped not just by God, but by beings from other worlds.
The Vatican has long condemned magic, witchcraft, and the occult as works of the devil. Yet behind its walls, the Church has quietly studied the very forces it claims to oppose. Hidden deep in the apostolic archives are said to be grimoires, books of spells, rituals, and forbidden knowledge confiscated during the Inquisition. These were once the sacred texts of alchemists, magicians, and heretics. Instead of being destroyed, many were secretly preserved, as though the Vatican could not bear to lose the power they contained. Throughout history, popes and cardinals have employed astrologers, alchemists, and mystics. Even Michelangelo and Raphael filled Vatican art with occult symbols, blending Christian iconography with hidden messages from esoteric traditions. Some believe the Church feared these forces, but also sought to control them, understanding that knowledge is power. One of the most mysterious links between the Vatican and the occult is its relationship to exorcism. Officially, the Vatican trains priests to cast out demons through ritual prayer, but critics suggest these rites are remnants of older pagan magic, rituals rebranded as Christian. Could exorcism itself be a form of sanctioned occult practice? Even stranger are the rumors of secret Vatican rituals held in chambers few have ever seen. Stories of hidden ceremonies, candlelit halls, and whispered prayers to forces not mentioned in the Catechism. Are these only legends, or is there truth behind them? The Vatican insists it stands against the occult, but history reveals something unsettling. The Church has not destroyed forbidden knowledge, it has collected it. Perhaps the greatest secret of all is that the Vatican doesn't fear the occult, it uses it.
Beneath the holy image of prayer and charity, the Vatican runs one of the most secretive financial systems in the world. Known as the Vatican Bank, officially the Institute for Works of Religion, it was created to manage the Church's funds. But over the years, it has been at the center of some of the darkest financial scandals in modern history. In the 1970s and 80s, the Vatican Bank became entangled in a massive money laundering scheme with the Italian Banco Ambrosiano. When the bank collapsed, billions vanished. Its chairman, Roberto Calvi, nicknamed God's Banker, was found hanging from Blackfriars Bridge in London in 1982. His death was officially ruled a suicide, but evidence suggested murder. Some believe he was silenced to protect powerful figures within both the Vatican and the Italian Mafia. Investigations revealed shocking ties between the Vatican Bank, organized crime, and even secret societies like Propaganda Due, a Masonic lodge accused of manipulating politics and finance across Italy. The scandal implicated bishops, cardinals, and possibly even popes, yet no one at the highest level was ever fully punished. But the scandals did not stop there. In recent decades, the Vatican has faced accusations of hiding billions in assets, moving money for corrupt politicians, and even laundering funds linked to arms deals. In 2013, the head of the Vatican Bank resigned amid fresh corruption charges. Reforms were promised, yet whispers of shady dealings continue. For many, the Vatican's financial empire remains a paradox. How can an institution that preaches poverty and humility be so deeply tied to money, secrecy, and scandal? Is the Vatican Bank simply a necessary tool to run a global church, or is it one of the most powerful and untouchable financial syndicates in the world?
For centuries, Italy has been plagued by powerful crime families, Cosa Nostra in Sicily, the 'Ndrangheta in Calabria, and the Camorra in Naples. But what is less openly discussed is the Vatican's shadowy connection to these underworld empires. Officially, the Church condemns organized crime. Priests who stand against the Mafia, like Father Pino Puglisi, murdered in 1993, are honored as martyrs. Yet history also reveals uncomfortable ties between the Vatican and the very criminal networks it claims to oppose. During the 20th century, the Vatican Bank became a safe haven for laundering Mafia money. Billions of lira flowed through secret accounts, hidden behind religious immunity. Mobsters saw the Vatican as untouchable, a place where money could disappear without questions. The murder of God's banker Roberto Calvi in 1982 exposed this relationship. Calvi's Banco Ambrosiano had strong Mafia ties, and when it collapsed, suspicion fell on both organized crime and the Vatican. Some investigators believe Calvi was killed by the Mafia as punishment for losing their money that may have been funneled through Vatican channels. But the connection wasn't just financial. The Mafia often used religion as a shield. Mob bosses attended Mass, donated to churches, and paraded their Catholic faith while committing murder and extortion. In some cases, local priests, under fear or influence, turned a blind eye. The Vatican itself has been accused of tolerating these criminals for political convenience, aligning with Mafia-linked figures to fight communism during the Cold War or to maintain influence in southern Italy. Today, Pope Francis has spoken more openly than any pope before him, even excommunicating Mafia members. Yet the legacy of Vatican Mafia ties lingers, raising the question, has the Church truly severed its connections with organized crime? Or do hidden bonds still exist in the shadows of Rome?
Though it is the world's smallest independent state, the Vatican wields influence far beyond its size. With embassies, diplomatic missions, and representatives in nearly every country, it has quietly shaped world affairs for centuries. The Vatican is officially a religious authority, but it is also a political power with its own foreign policy. Popes have acted as mediators between nations, influencing treaties, wars, and even revolutions. During the Cold War, Pope John Paul II was credited with inspiring the resistance that helped bring down communism in Eastern Europe. Some argue that without him, the Iron Curtain might have stood much longer. But this political role is not always transparent. The Vatican has been accused of lobbying behind closed doors, aligning with powerful nations when it serves its interests, and even working as a silent broker in intelligence operations. Documents declassified in recent years suggest the Vatican shared information with the CIA, MI6, and other agencies, all while maintaining its neutral image. Even today, the Vatican maintains observer status at the United Nations and holds sway in global debates on issues like poverty, war, climate change, and bioethics. But critics argue that its political involvement often serves its own agenda, not always the needs of the people it claims to protect. Behind the veil of prayer and ritual, the Vatican is a geopolitical player, one whose moves often remain invisible to the public eye. Is the Church truly acting as a moral compass in world affairs, or is it an ancient power broker, quietly shaping history from the shadows?
Knowledge is power, and no institution has understood this more than the Vatican. For centuries, the Church has decided what knowledge the public may access and what must remain hidden. In 1559, the Vatican created the Index Librorum Prohibitorum, the Index of Forbidden Books.
This list banned works that challenged church teachings, from scientific texts to philosophical writings. Galileo's works were censored, along with those of Copernicus, Descartes, and countless others. To question the Earth's place in the universe or the authority of the Church was to risk being silenced or worse. But censorship went far beyond books. The Vatican has been accused of suppressing archaeological discoveries that contradict biblical narratives, altering historical records, and even hiding Gospels that paint a different picture of Jesus than the one found in the New Testament. The so-called Gnostic Gospels, unearthed in the 20th century, were likely known to the Church long before their discovery. Why were they excluded? Perhaps because they threatened the Vatican's carefully constructed history. Even today, the Vatican controls access to its vast apostolic archives. Scholars may study certain documents, but millions of pages remain off-limits, restricted not because of fragility, but because of their content. What lies inside? Lost Gospels? Proof of cover-ups? Secrets about the true origins of Christianity itself? The Church insists its censorship protected the faithful from heresy and confusion. Yet many argue it was about control, shaping what humanity could believe and burying what it could not. In the end, the Vatican's greatest secret may not be what it reveals, but what it refuses to let the world see.
Perhaps the most mysterious place in the entire Vatican is its apostolic archives, a vast underground repository that holds centuries of the Church's most closely guarded secrets. Stretching over 50 miles of shelves, the archives contain millions of documents, yet only a fraction have ever been seen by outsiders. Officially, the archives are said to preserve the history of the Church, papal correspondence, state documents, and records of decisions. But what makes them so secret? Access is strictly controlled. Only a handful of scholars are ever allowed inside, and even then, only to study specific, pre-approved documents. Entire collections remain locked, never open to the public. Whispers abound about what lies hidden there. Some claim the archives contain the lost books of the Bible, Gospels, and writings that paint a radically different image of Jesus. Others speak of proof of extraterrestrial contact, ancient artifacts that predate human civilization, or even evidence that challenges the very foundation of Christianity. There are also rumors of dark records, transcripts of trials, details of secret deals with monarchs and dictators, and files on the Vatican's involvement in global conflicts. Perhaps even confessions from priests and politicians that could shake governments if revealed. One of the most intriguing mysteries is the speculation that the Vatican keeps a detailed chronicle of every prophecy ever delivered to the Church, visions of the future, warnings of apocalypse, and secrets still withheld from humanity. The Vatican insists the archives are simply historical records. Yet the question remains, if there is nothing to hide, why keep so much locked away? For centuries, the apostolic archives have stood as a fortress of silence. Whatever secrets rest in those endless corridors, they remain beyond our reach. Perhaps the world is not ready to know the truth, or perhaps the Vatican fears what would happen if it did.
Among the strangest and most controversial claims about the Vatican is the rumor that it possesses technology capable of looking into the past and even glimpsing the future. This mysterious device is known in legend as the chronovisor. According to accounts that surfaced in the 1960s, the chronovisor was allegedly built in secret by a team of scientists, including Italian priest Father Pellegrino Ernetti. The machine supposedly worked like a television, but instead of receiving broadcasts, it tuned into the echoes of history itself. Users could watch past events as though they were happening live, from ancient Rome to the crucifixion of Christ. Ernetti even claimed to have seen Christ's final hours through the chronovisor, describing details of the Passion that seemed uncannily vivid.
A photograph allegedly taken of Jesus using the device circulated in Italy, though many dismissed it as a hoax. If true, the implications would be staggering. The Vatican would not just be the keeper of history, it would be able to witness it firsthand, settling every debate about religion, politics, and science. But such power would also be dangerous, allowing the Church to control not only belief, but truth itself. The Vatican, of course, denies the existence of the chronovisor. Ernetti himself later retracted some of his claims, yet conspiracy theorists insist the device was real and that it remains hidden, locked away in the apostolic archives. Is this just a wild legend, or could the Vatican really possess technology that blurs the line between science and miracle? If the chronovisor exists, perhaps the greatest secret is not what the Vatican knows about the past, but what it has already seen of the future.
The Bible itself makes mysterious references to a race of giants, the Nephilim, said to be the offspring of angels and humans. For centuries, scholars and believers have debated whether these beings were myth, metaphor, or a suppressed part of human history. And at the center of this debate, some claim, is the Vatican. Stories circulate that ancient skeletons of enormous size, sometimes 10 to 15 feet tall, have been discovered around the world. From North America to the Middle East, there are tales of archaeologists unearthing bones that vanished before they could be studied. Where did they go? Conspiracy theorists point to the Vatican. Whispers suggest that these remains were confiscated or hidden, locked away in the apostolic archives. Why? Because proof of giants would challenge the traditional story of creation and raise uncomfortable questions about biblical history. Were the Nephilim real? Did they walk the earth alongside humans? And if so, what happened to them? Some even claim the Vatican holds not just bones, but texts, ancient manuscripts describing the lives of these giant beings, their wars, and their downfall. If revealed, such knowledge could rewrite both human history and the Church's own teachings. The Vatican has never admitted to possessing evidence of giants, yet the silence itself fuels speculation. Could the world's most powerful religious institution really be hiding proof of a lost race that once ruled the earth? The Nephilim remain a mystery, but if the Vatican does hold their secrets, it raises a haunting question. What else about humanity's past has been deliberately erased? The Vatican is the only institution on earth that officially trains and authorizes priests to perform exorcisms, the ritual of casting out demons. To the faithful, it is a battle of good against evil. But behind the closed doors of the Vatican, the truth about exorcism is far more complex and far more terrifying. Official manuals exist, such as the Rituale Romanum, which outlines the prayers, chants, and rituals used to drive out spirits. Yet many priests admit that what happens during an exorcism often goes far beyond the words on a page. Victims speak in unknown languages, demonstrate unnatural strength, and reveal secrets they should have no way of knowing. The Vatican keeps detailed records of these cases, but most are never made public. Whispers suggest the Church has encountered forces that defy explanation, entities not just demonic, but something even stranger. Some exorcists claim to have seen levitation, objects moving on their own, and voices that seem to come from everywhere at once. The Vatican's role in exorcism also raises questions about its knowledge of the supernatural. Does the Church know more about demons than it admits? Are exorcisms simply spiritual rituals?
Or are they in fact confrontations with forces the Vatican has studied and cataloged for centuries? There are also chilling rumors of failed exorcisms, cases so violent and uncontrollable that the victims were either hidden away in church institutions or quietly declared dead. These stories never reached the public, but within Vatican walls, they are said to be all too real. For the faithful, exorcism is proof of divine power, but for skeptics, it suggests something darker, that the Vatican is guarding knowledge of a world where the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural collapse, and where humanity is far more vulnerable than we imagine.
One of the most controversial and explosive theories about the Vatican concerns the possibility that Jesus did not die without descendants, but that his bloodline continues to this very day. The idea was popularized in modern times by books like Holy Blood, Holy Grail and the Da Vinci Code. They suggest that Jesus may have been married, possibly to Mary Magdalene, and that together they had children. These descendants, it is claimed, carried on through secret dynasties, protected by groups such as the Knights Templar or the Priory of Sion. If such a bloodline exists, the Vatican would have every reason to suppress it. For centuries, the Church has taught that Jesus was celibate, divine, and utterly unique. The existence of living descendants would shake the foundation of Christianity itself, transforming Christ from a distant Savior into a mortal man whose blood still flows through human veins. Whispers suggest that records of this bloodline exist, hidden manuscripts, genealogies, and perhaps even relics locked deep within the apostolic archives. Some researchers believe the Vatican has spent centuries hunting down evidence, erasing documents, and silencing those who came too close to the truth. Others go further, claiming certain royal families in Europe may secretly trace their lineage back to Christ himself. If true, this would mean the Vatican not only knows of the bloodline, but may have used it as leverage in politics, dynasties, and power struggles throughout history. The Vatican dismisses these ideas as heresy, yet the very persistence of the theory keeps the questions alive. What if the Church's greatest secret is not about heaven or hell, but about the blood of Christ, still alive, still walking among us?
Throughout history, empires have risen and fallen, leaving behind ruins that puzzle modern science. From the pyramids of Egypt to the temples of South America, ancient civilizations built wonders that even today defy explanation. But some believe the key to these mysteries lies hidden, not in deserts or jungles, but in the vaults of the Vatican. According to whispers, the Vatican has quietly collected artifacts from ancient cultures, objects that reveal advanced knowledge of astronomy, engineering, and even energy. Some claim the Church possesses devices recovered from Babylon, Egypt, and even the ruins of Atlantis, locked away to prevent the world from discovering the full extent of ancient wisdom. One of the strangest rumors concerns the Ark of the Covenant, said to contain both divine power and advanced technology. Some theorists suggest the Vatican knows its true location or even holds it in secret chambers beneath Rome. Another legend speaks of crystal skulls, ancient maps of the stars, and manuscripts describing flying machines that predate modern science by thousands of years. Why would the Vatican suppress such knowledge? Perhaps because it contradicts the narrative that humanity's greatest advances came only through the Church's guidance. Or perhaps because ancient technology could transform the balance of global power if unleashed. The Vatican insists it is the guardian of faith, not science. Yet time and again, history shows it has sought to control information that could challenge its authority. Could it be that the greatest discoveries of the past, the true achievements of forgotten civilizations, are not lost at all, but deliberately hidden in the Vatican's underground chambers? If so, the question is no longer whether ancient technology existed. The question is, what might the Vatican be doing with it right now?
In 1969, humanity took its first steps on the moon. The world watched in awe as Neil Armstrong declared that giant leap for mankind. But behind the scenes, rumors suggest the Vatican may have played a far stranger role in the space race than anyone expected. The Vatican Observatory, one of the oldest astronomical institutions in the world, had access to advanced telescopes long before most governments. Some researchers believe the Church knew about strange lunar anomalies, structures, lights, and shadows on the moon decades before NASA ever launched Apollo. There are even whispers that Vatican scientists were consulted by both the United States and the Soviet Union during the Cold War, sharing ancient star maps that may have guided missions into space. These maps, said to come from early manuscripts or even ancient civilizations, hinted at knowledge of the moon that far exceeded what was possible with medieval technology. But the most shocking claim is this. Some suggest that when astronauts returned from the moon, they brought back more than just rocks. Private briefings may have revealed evidence of artificial structures, ruins, towers, or markings, suggesting the moon once hosted intelligent activity. According to these theories, the Vatican was one of the first institutions informed due to its historical connection with space observation. Why would the Vatican need to know? Perhaps because such discoveries could confirm or shatter interpretations of Scripture. If life existed beyond Earth, or if ancient civilizations left their mark on the moon, it would rewrite humanity's place in creation. NASA has never confirmed these stories. The Vatican has remained silent, yet the silence itself only fuels suspicion.
Behind the walls of the Vatican lies a chilling archive. Thousands of secret documents that chronicle one of the Church's most disturbing duties, exorcism. For centuries, priests have been called upon to battle what the faithful believe are real demonic forces. But what the public rarely sees is the sheer volume of reports, testimonies, and case files collected by the Church. These are not just tales of superstition. They are detailed accounts of individuals who spoke in unknown languages, displayed superhuman strength, and exhibited knowledge of hidden things no ordinary person could know. Some insiders whisper that the Vatican holds recordings, audio, and even video of the most extreme possessions. Locked away from the public, these files are said to contain evidence that would terrify even the most hardened skeptic. Reports describe levitations, objects moving on their own, and voices that defy explanation. More unsettling still are rumors that the Vatican has documented patterns, cases clustering in certain regions, or strange similarities that suggest a hidden force at work. Some theorists claim the Church knows more about the nature of these entities than it admits, even suspecting they may not be demons at all, but something far stranger, extra-dimensional or extraterrestrial beings. Why keep such files secret? Perhaps to prevent panic. Perhaps to maintain control of a narrative that demons are defeated only through the authority of the Church. Or perhaps because these encounters point to truths about reality that humanity is not ready to face. If even a fraction of the Vatican's possession files were ever revealed, they might change the world's understanding of evil, the supernatural, and the very nature of the human soul.
One of the strangest and most controversial claims about the Vatican involves a mysterious device said to bend not only space, but time itself. This alleged invention is called the chronovisor. According to reports, it was created in the mid-20th century by a team of scientists working in secret with Vatican approval. The chronovisor, they claimed, was a machine that could peer into the past, capturing images and even sounds of historical events. Whispers say the device allowed its users to witness the crucifixion of Christ, the speeches of Roman emperors, and even the lives of saints long gone. Some accounts describe grainy photographs taken through the chronovisor, showing moments no camera could ever have recorded. If true, the implications are staggering. The Vatican would not only hold knowledge of history, it could verify or disprove Scripture itself. Was Jesus truly crucified in the way the Bible describes? What did he really say? Were miracles real or simply misunderstood events? But there's even a darker twist. If the chronovisor could look into the past, could it also glimpse the future? Some believe the Vatican may have used the device to predict world events, wars, disasters, even the rise and fall of leaders. Perhaps this is why the Church has remained such a powerful force in global politics for centuries. It may literally know what's coming. The Vatican denies the chronovisor ever existed, dismissing the story as science fiction. Yet the tale persists, kept alive by former insiders who swore it was real. If the device truly was built, one question haunts us. Is it still hidden in the Vatican's vaults? Or was it destroyed because humanity was never meant to see the future?
While the Vatican is often seen as the guardian of ancient tradition, it has also shown surprising interest in one of the most modern mysteries of all, the existence of life beyond Earth. The Vatican operates its own powerful telescopes, including the Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope in Arizona. Officially, it studies stars and galaxies, but conspiracy theorists ask, why is the Church so invested in the search for extraterrestrial life? Some suggest the Vatican already knows the truth, that contact has been made. According to whispers, secret documents within the apostolic archives detail sightings of strange craft throughout history, from fiery chariots in the skies of antiquity to unexplained lights witnessed by early missionaries. These accounts, some believe, are more than myth. They are evidence of encounters with beings not of this earth. Even more startling are claims that certain popes were briefed on UFO phenomena by governments, and that Vatican officials have quietly worked with world powers to manage the possibility of disclosure. Some theorists argue that the Church fears how humanity would react. If intelligent life exists elsewhere, how does that affect the idea that Earth and humanity holds a special place in God's creation? But not all in the Church shy away from the idea. In fact, some Vatican astronomers have publicly stated that belief in extraterrestrials does not contradict faith. One even suggested that aliens, too, could be considered children of God. The deeper mystery is whether the Vatican's openness is preparing the world for a revelation it already knows is coming, or whether it has long been a hidden intermediary between humanity and something beyond the stars. The Vatican presents itself as a neutral voice of peace, above the chaos of politics and bloodshed. But behind closed doors, the Church has been deeply entangled in some of the darkest chapters of modern history, World War I and World War II. During the First World War, secret Vatican correspondence reveals that the Church was not merely observing events, it was gathering intelligence, passing information between nations, and influencing decisions.
the Vatican acted as a hidden broker, shaping outcomes while never appearing on the battlefield. In World War II, its role becomes even more controversial. While Pope Pius XII publicly called for peace, rumors persist that the Vatican had knowledge of atrocities long before the world learned of them. Whispers suggest that hidden Vatican archives contain documents proving that certain church officials provided safe passage for Nazi leaders after the war, helping them escape to South America through what came to be known as the rat lines. Why would the Vatican risk such involvement? Some argue it was about survival, maintaining influence no matter who won. Others suggest it was about power, ensuring that the Church remained indispensable to the future of Europe, regardless of the outcome of war. There are even claims that the Vatican safeguarded treasures looted during the wars, gold, art, and documents seized by the Nazis that remain hidden in secret vaults to this day. Publicly, the Vatican denies these accusations, framing itself as a silent mediator in times of crisis. Yet the unanswered questions linger. Was the Vatican truly a voice of peace, or a hidden hand guiding the world's greatest conflicts for its own survival?